Hey guys, what's up? Hope you're all good. This is a recording for a talk that I did on the 2nd of April for a presentation of a Google Meetup group. And it's basically a presentation of how artificial intelligence is useful in the Internet of Things, or in other words, the edge. And basically, just to give you a little bit of background on who I am, my name's Tawanda Ewing, and I'm a machine learning engineer at Deep Learning Cafe. And the talk was facilitated by our partners at Sciatic. So just to start you off, here's a few links to some of our social media, and you can catch me on Facebook, Instagram, or on LinkedIn. And same thing with Sciatic. You can catch Sciatic on LinkedIn, so you can find out whenever they'll be having more of these talks. And Deep Learning Cafe if you want to find out more about what I do and where I work. So basically, just to get you started off, here are the contents of the talk or what to expect. I'm going to start with a little brief overview of what AI on the edge is. And then we'll give you a little bit of background, like as to what AI is and what the edge is, and what has changed over the years in both these fields. And then we're just going to go into what's actually important about, or why this is important to you, the listener. And then I'll give you some information of where you can get some more, I'll give you links where you can get some more information, as well as a conclusion as to, what all this means. Okay, so basically the overview. So artificial intelligence has taken the world by storm, and it's brought about great expectations as to how it will change the way we live, work, and play. And that's like evident in the way that you've been hearing about I've been hearing about artificial intelligence in social media, the news, everywhere basically. And it's pretty evident that artificial intelligence is here and it's changing our lives, or it's going to change our lives at least. And basically, what's new now is that we're getting to the point where we're able to deploy these neural networks, or which are just a part of artificial intelligence, on the edge, and they're going to help us meet some of these expectations. And what this does is that it opens up a whole new opportunity to gain value from artificial intelligence today, and not in some distant future where where most of these products seem like they're so far away from being actually usable by everyday people. Bringing AI to the edge is going to make that a very much more practical, accessible way of using AI. And basically, what I feel is that the combination of artificial intelligence and the edge is going to bring about the true form of the fourth industrial revolution. And it's actually a prerequisite, I feel, that you can't have this fourth industrial revolution without bringing artificial intelligence to the edge. And what this talk hopefully will do is that it shows you that there's an opportunity to get a head start in something that's new, and it's going to be in very high demand in the next couple of years. Okay, so to start you off with the background, so what is AI? And the definition I came up with here is that artificial intelligence is a broad field that encompasses the study of and exploration for systems that display intelligence but are not considered natural. So in this case, we're talking about our computers, right? Computers are unnatural, and we're trying to see if we can make them a little bit more intelligent than they are already. And within the field of artificial intelligence, you get what's called machine learning. Now, what machine learning is just the use of statistical methods to actually give computers the ability to learn. Now, the classical way of programming a computer is that you actually hard code all the rules for every single scenario that the computer is going to encounter. You can imagine how this could become very difficult when you're dealing with complex tasks such as face recognition. Like, what rules can you write to define what a face is, and how can you make a computer understand that? Now, to simplify this, instead of actually hard coding these rules, machine learning looks at a bunch of examples, and the computer gets to understand what a face looks like based on these examples. So that's how it learns. And then within machine learning, we have deep learning, which is the new thing in artificial intelligence, and arguably the reason for all the hype behind artificial intelligence today. And what deep learning is just basically the use of the same statistical methods from machine learning in what we call artificial neural networks. And this just helps us perform much more complex tasks at a much faster rate than we could with machine learning. So now you're talking about like maybe classification of individuals that look similar. So in machine learning, maybe you couldn't be able to tell the difference between twins, but in the deep learning model, you might be able to find those subtle differences to be able to distinctly identify the difference between one twin and the other. And then now the next thing is, what is the edge? So the edge, basically, to start you off, let's talk about the transistor, which is basically the little switch that we put in almost all our processors, or basically all our processors, and it helps us do mathematical operations at speed. So basically the modern day computing. And what happened with that is that we managed to get these CPUs, or these computing chips, down into what we call microprocessors. And the thing is about microprocessors is that they're able to do these mathematical operations in low power devices. So this is like in stuff like your microwave oven, or like your washing machine, for example. And then what happens is that we started putting these microprocessors everywhere naturally, right? So we put it in our cars, we put it in our appliances at home, and in a whole bunch of other devices, so that they can do certain quick calculations before sending that information off to a CPU, where it does more high power calculations before maybe even storing that information or just using it in real time. And then the thing is that these devices, or these microprocessors, live on the edge of our computing networks, and they're streaming in a lot of information that they're taking in from the environment. And what we're trying to do by bringing AI to the edge is to actually clean up all this information and only send back the data that's most useful to our CPU and that we want to store. So like I've hinted this a little bit, in that the edge gives us, or currently gives us, quite large volumes of data. And what happened is that AI came along and actually gave us the ability to process all this data and make it useful, so we could get insights that could help us make well-informed decisions at a much faster rate, which was previously impossible, because you can imagine sifting through all this data manually and trying to get insights from it. And then what happened now is that with the onset of cloud computing and Internet of Things, the volume of data coming in has increased by a huge amount. And what's happening is that now it's taking a lot longer to actually get these insights from all the data that we're getting from the edge. Because what's happening is that we're still using AI to process this data, but there's just so much of it that to get insights out is just impossible to get it a lot faster. So we're trying to find a way to actually get our same insights or better insights at a much faster rate without having to sacrifice the use of this large network of devices that we have now. And basically the solution would be to bring artificial intelligence to the edge. So what this will do is that now it'll help reduce the amount of data that's sent back to our central processing units for processing, by intelligently selecting the data that needs to be sent back. So you can imagine the huge amount of noise that's usually in our data, which is just values that actually have no meaning, that now can be intelligently removed, and then we only send back the critical points that we want to analyze and gain insights from. So why is this important to you, the listener? Okay, so start you off with some interesting stats here. If you take a look, you will notice that at the year 2018, the artificial intelligence market was worth an estimated $20.7 billion US, and that's going to continue to grow exponentially, and is estimated to reach a value of about $170 billion US by the year 2025. So you can see that AI is basically a very real thing now, and businesses and people all over the world are investing large amounts of money into solving their problems with artificial intelligence. Another interesting stat is that as of 2020, we have about 20 billion connected devices on the Internet of Things, and that number is also set to keep growing over the years. So you can imagine that even if just 10% of these devices need artificial intelligence on the edge, that's an estimated 2 billion devices already today that could use an upgrade by applying artificial intelligence on the edge. And then you look at another interesting stat that I picked up was that as of 2019, LinkedIn has about 36,000 self-proclaimed AI specialists. Now, this stat is interesting because even though they are self-proclaimed, we know that probably not all of them are specialists, but they might make up for the specialists that aren't on LinkedIn. So we can safely say that given this stat, there are roughly maybe between 100,000 plus or minus a few couple thousand specialists, AI specialists on the planet. And you can imagine that out of these AI specialists, not all of them are interested in AI on the edge. So that leaves a very small fraction of people that actually have to handle this huge market that's coming our way. So this is where an opportunity is presented for anyone who's interested in this to actually get onto something that's going to be very useful in the coming years, and basically it's still an open market. So now let's get into the details of why this is actually interesting. So I've already stated that the industry is going to be huge, and given the way it's going to keep on growing, you can imagine all the applications. Basically, where there's a microprocessor, there's an opportunity to potentially apply intelligence there. So we're talking about the energy industry, manufacturing industry, transportation. I mean, think about it, it's probably possible to incorporate AI on the edge in some way. The second one is that we're going to get much faster insights at lower costs. So if you're working at a company that deals with sifting through huge amounts of data that's being sent through from devices all over the world, like let's say weather data, for instance, not all the data is going to be clean or useful. And usually you spend a lot of time cleaning out that data. But now with AI on the edge, that can be set up to happen on the edge. And by the time the AI actually, or the information actually gets to where it needs to be processed, it's already cleaned up and ready to go, and you can get your insights much faster at a lower cost. And the third thing is that having AI on the edge or in these little edge devices is going to make AI accessible. So it's going to remove the need to actually understand how to build an AI model and the subtle sciences or statistics that's involved in that. And what will happen is that you'll have out-of-the-box devices that can do very specific AI tasks, and then it will be up to students or professionals to actually string together these devices in interesting ways to solve problems that they face or that clients or customers face. And so basically, if you're interested in finding out more about these devices and what they can do, here's links to 3 companies that are already releasing edge computing devices or edge neural network devices that you can buy today and actually start playing around with. You've got the Google's Coral Development Board, which is mostly like they're focusing more on using it in the academic space, so teaching children about artificial intelligence, or even university or high school students about AI by letting them do interesting tasks with it. So like one example is that the Coral was used to develop a system that identifies marshmallows, like that's pretty interesting. But yeah, and then you have the Intel Movidius, which also a very powerful device, and what that one was being used for is that they're using it in the Serengeti National Park in Tanzania to actually identify poachers. So before, they used to have motion sensor cameras that would capture any sort of movement. So you can imagine the amount of data they used to get back that was just animals passing by or even trees being blown in the wind. And now they could actually sift through that data at the camera by applying intelligence, so it could only send back pictures that have a human in it. So then it reduced the data volumes they had to process by a huge amount. And then you have the NVIDIA Jetson, which is another neural compute board. And what they do that's pretty interesting is that they use it in something called a wave glider. And what this is that it's a boat that they send out. It's autonomous, send out into the ocean, and it spends months on end gathering data. And the reason it needs some intelligence is that to navigate the ocean without being connected to the base or to a central base consistently, it had to be able to make some sort of intelligent decisions as to how to navigate, and also the type of data to collect, because its space is limited. So it doesn't want to be filled up too quickly with useless data. So it had to intelligently select what kind of data to capture and when to capture it. And they managed to do that with the NVIDIA Jetson. So basically, the conclusion from this talk, or that I would say is the most important point to take away, is that AI is here to stay. People are investing money into it, and they're trying to see how they can extract value for it in their business. And there's opportunities that are being presented because of this. And then the second point would be that the Internet of Things is great, but it's going to be even better with AI. In fact, I'll say that, like I said, with the fourth industrial revolution, it's going to be a prerequisite to be able to have AI on the edge in low power devices, intelligently selecting the kind of data to send back for us to get meaningful insights. And the third and final point is that applying AI to the edge is a very new concept. There's still no set rules on how to do it. People are still trying to figure out how best this thing can be valuable to people and businesses all over the world. So this presents an opportunity for people to get into something that's very new, and actually kind of set the pace and set the trend for the industry. And yeah, basically that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you do have any questions, please get in touch. You can email me or get in touch with me on any of the social media links, and you'll be able to easily get in touch with Sciatic or Deep Learning Cafe if you have any other questions involving different talks or anything like that. So yeah, thanks.